I did the Haiku Stairs or Stairway to Heaven hike on Oahu nearly 20 years ago. And since the government recently announced that they'll be taking down the stairs, I thought I'd share my experience doing that hike and share my thoughts and opinion on whether I think it's the right thing to do to close it down at this time. Now this was back in college, and it was during one of my breaks. And my cousin called me and asked if I wanted to do a hike, and I said, sure, absolutely, where are we going? And he said, Stairway to Heaven. And I was like, I don't think that's safe. I don't really want to do it. I'm not really interested. I mean, I had grown up on this side, and you know, we hear stories, and when you go down the H3, you can see the stairs, and then you could see some hikers sometimes. But I really had no interest in doing that. But he insisted that we go because my grandpa apparently had said that it was his wish that his ashes would be thrown off of the top of Stairway to Heaven. I have no idea why. Maybe it was because he was in the military, maybe because he had done the hike when he was younger, maybe it's because he lived on this side of the island and he just wanted to do that. But it was his wishes to do that. And so I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna go. And so me and a group of my cousins decided to go up. And so I remember we parked in one of the neighborhoods on this side, and we tried to figure out how to get to the bottom of the hike, because it's not like it's like a path, there's no like sign. And in fact, we had to climb people's fences to get over the fence, because I remember the fence that would lead to the hike was extremely high. Like they built up like almost like the baseball stuff, and the only way you could really do it was to go through somebody's yard, which looking back was very irresponsible. But we did it anyway because, you know, we were kids. And I remember after we made it over the fence, we ran to the start of this hike because I think there was a security guard that we had either heard or had seen, and he was coming after us. Now this is where the story gets a little misty, being 2 decades from now. Maybe my cousins can correct me on this, but I remember we started the hike. We started going up the stairs, and it was just, you know, those are the 4 of us. So we're up the stairs, maybe, I don't know, 200 feet, maybe 100 feet up. And the security guard starts yelling at us. And so at that point, me and my other cousin were like, oh, what are we gonna do? We're gonna go down, or, you know, we're gonna listen to this guy, or you know, what's gonna happen? And we decided we're just gonna go for it. And so we just continued going up as this guy is yelling for us to come down. And I think he started to come up the stairs to chase us. And at that point, me and my other cousin are like going up. And again, there's 4 of us. But one of my other cousins, he kind of stops and he lets the security guard catch him, and they both go down the stairs together. And I was thinking, well, do we go down and that is the end of the hike? Or do we just go up? Because this guy can't stop all 4 of us, right? Like, he caught 1, but there's still 3 of us and we can still do it. And so we ended up leaving my cousin at the bottom with the security guard, and the 3 of us made our way to the top. Now, when it comes to the actual hiking part, I just remember it being like very steep metal stairs. And if you've ever been in like a submarine, or I'm assuming like maybe like a battleship or something, like the stairs are very steep. And one of the challenging parts about the hike was when we're going up, some people would be coming down, and because the staircase is so narrow, in order for them to come down, we had to go off the edge of the stairs and hang on to the railing while they come down. And I remember just looking over and being like, oh my goodness, this is pretty ridiculous. I recall that there's parts of the hike where you have to use a rope. I think I also remember a trampoline and or a swing setup up there. I don't know how they did it. Now, eventually we got to the top. And when we got to the top and the pillboxes, that's where we decided to throw the ashes. And we each grabbed a handful of ash out of the Ziploc plastic bag. And we're like, okay, we're gonna throw it at the same time. 1, 2, 3, and as we threw it, we didn't realize that the wind was blowing back in our faces. And so at that moment, all the ash flew back in our eyes, our nose, our mouth. It was kind of a gross experience. But I just thought, oh, that was our grandpa just getting back at us. It was a nice bonding experience with at least the 3 of us. On the way back down, it felt like it was a lot faster. I think that's how most hikes are. When you go up, it's long, but when you come back down, it's a lot faster. And I remember going back down, instead of going like facing the mountain and climbing down the stairs like on a normal ladder, I found it easier to actually go like face out. So I would go down the stairs, but I would face out that way so that I'd be looking out towards, you know, the freeway, towards down the hike. Maybe other people have different experiences, but for me, that was a lot easier to do. And of course, I'm thinking, what are we gonna do when we get to the bottom? There's my cousin waiting with the security guard, and we were gone for I don't know how long. Are we gonna get in trouble? And then when we got to the bottom, the security guard was really cool. We were talking store. He's like, yeah, you know, how was the hike? Okay, next time don't do it, you know, don't jump over the fence and, you know, all that stuff. My cousin was down there, they were just hanging out the whole time. But now once we got back to the neighborhood, I had forgotten where we parked the car. My legs were so sore because of I think it was more the coming down that made my legs sore, but my legs were shaking. I remember I could not walk. And so I had to sit down on the curb in front of somebody's house. And I asked my other cousin, can you just pick up the car and just meet us here? Because I can't walk anymore. So my cousin went off, he grabbed the car, he picked us up, and then we went to eat lunch. We went to L&L, and oh, that beef stew all rice, oh, it was so good afterwards. After that experience, I've always told people who've asked me, oh, should I do the hike? I've always told them no. There's so many other beautiful hikes you can do here. Don't come up this way, it's dangerous. And to also get to the hike, you gotta cross into people's yards. Yeah, that's not cool. However, and this is the difficult part, I know it comes across as hypocritical because I did it when I was younger. I had the opportunity to experience that hike, and so I can say, oh yeah, I did that hike. And yet I would tell people to not do it. It's sort of like a NIMBY type of thing. And so I understand that it comes across that way. And I think that's why it's hard for me to talk about and to say like, oh, don't do it, because I understand both sides. So I'm conflicted on this issue, but since the government is already tearing down the stairs, I support that. I think that's actually a good thing. We often hear about people needing to be rescued on these types of hikes, the illegal hikes, because there's this big debate on whether the city should be spending taxpayer money to rescue people who shouldn't really be there in the first place. I mean, on the one hand, it costs roughly $1,000 to $2,500 per rescue to save these people. And if you're doing this 1,000 times a year, well, talking about millions of dollars rescuing people who shouldn't be there in the first place. They're putting rescuers at risk for a choice that they made. Why should the public have to pay for that? But on the other hand, if we're going to require people to pay for their own rescue or reimburse the city for their own rescue, they may not want to be rescued. So they may opt to just stay up there, and that could be extremely dangerous. When you think about that, is it really worth that cost if it's gonna cost them their lives? Because when it comes to those hikers that need rescue, I can hear my grandpa now saying, good for them, bachi. But then I think about, well, what if that was us? What if it was his 4 grandsons going up there and we had to get rescued? There's no way that we could have paid the $1,000, $2,500 to get rescued. So I think it's kind of hard to talk about right or wrong since the government is acting on it and taking it down now. But I do think that there's a possible solution that could appease both the hikers and also the community. What I would suggest is that they just tear down the stairs on the Kaneohe side, the windward side. I don't know the percentage of people that enter the hike from this side versus the Moanalua Valley side. That side is way safer and a lot more accessible. But I know that there are people who still do it from this side like we did. Wouldn't recommend it, but I know that they do it. But I think they should just tear down all the stairs from this side so that you can't possibly get up. I mean, you could try, but from what I remember, it'd be a pretty hard hike. I mean, you basically climbing up the ko'olau straight up, and unless you got actual hiking gear, it doesn't seem to be worth the effort. But I think that they should consider opening up the Moanalua side of the trail. It's what people consider the legal way to get up there. Because when it comes to Stairway to Heaven, I don't think most people are doing the hike because of the exercise. They're doing it because they want the view that you get from the top to see the stairs looking down on the windward side. So I think if you make the trail, you maintain the trail, you provide, a good parking lot, or just make it so that it's safer than what it is. You can maybe work with DLNR on that. But make the trail nice from the Moanalua side and just keep one set of stairs at the top. So all the people on the phone and social media, they can take their, you know, crazy picture, and then they're just gonna go back down on the safe side and they're gonna be happy. Because I think at this point, there are just too many mentions of Stairway to Heaven on social media. People know about it, it's a popular hike, it's on their bucket list to wanna do. So I don't think you're gonna stop people from ever doing it. But I do think you can make it a lot safer. You can protect the community on the windward side so people don't climb their fence. And just make it so that the hike is accessible from that side. Similar to a hike on the east side called Kuli'o'o. Beautiful, beautiful hike. Now with that hike, you actually enter from like Aina Haina, Hawaii Kai side. And when you get to the top, the view is absolutely beautiful of Waimanalo, which is the opposite side of the mountain. So I don't see how you couldn't do something similar here. Even if you take down all the stairs, they're gonna wanna find a way just on reputation alone, but I think we can do a lot better job of making it safer. Maybe, you know, having some information down at the bottom of the hike, a little map so people know what they're gonna get into, and just make an official stop to the hike. Like once you cut off the stairs, I don't think people are gonna be crazy enough to wanna go down on this side without the stairs. It's gonna be too hard. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that hike since it's gonna be gone, I don't know, relatively soon. But I don't know, is it really gonna be gone? I guess we'll see. So thanks for watching and aloha.
Hello.